Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a world that's, well, absolutely critical.
Definitely critical.
Yeah, national security, thousands of businesses, cybersecurity compliance for the defense industrial base. And we're focusing specifically on the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification, CMMC.
That's right.
So here's the challenge, the thing that immediately jumped out at me looking at our sources. How do organizations in the DIB, manage these incredibly complex requirements?
Yeah.
Especially CMMC Level 2. It looks overwhelming.
It really can be.
Right. How do they avoid getting buried in paperwork? Or worse, missing something crucial that could, put them out of business? Like you imagine, Sarah, maybe a compliance officer at some mid-sized contractor just staring at this mountain of spreadsheets, trying to track hundreds of things. That's the real-world pressure we're kind of digging into.
And that's a perfect way to frame it, because our source material is really clear on this. CMMC Level 2 is way more than just a checklist. It's not just ticking boxes. It demands institutionalized, repeatable processes and continuous governance.
Right. Repeatable, not just a one-off.
Exactly. Think of it like this. It's not enough to say you did something once. Like, oh yeah, we patched that system last Tuesday. You need to prove you have a process for patching, that it's done regularly, that it's documented, reviewed.
Okay, so evidence of the system, not just the single action.
Precisely.
Okay.
Organizations need to show real maturity, with clear, verifiable evidence, not just a list of one-time tasks they knocked out.
Okay, absolutely. So to answer that big question, how do you manage all this? We're diving into a specific type of solution that our sources highlighted, a CMMC governance, risk, and compliance platform, a GRC platform.
Yeah.
And our sources pointed specifically to one called CyberComply as a sort of prime example of how these platforms tackle the complexity head on.
Right.
So our mission today is basically to uncover how these GRC solutions generally, and maybe CyberComply in particular, how they deliver on these critical needs.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's see how they turn this huge burden into something manageable, something structured.
Sounds good.
So what's immediately striking, just looking at the information we reviewed, is that CMMC isn't like a set it and forget it deal.
Not at all.
It's about embedding controls, assigning ownership, constant monitoring.
Yeah, ongoing.
And our sources really emphasize that GRC platforms, like this CyberComply one, they actually enforce this by, for example, getting rid of the spreadsheets, the guesswork, giving you structured, verifiable compliance instead.
And what's fascinating there, I think, is how it addresses that core challenge, moving from being reactive, document-focused maybe, to a state where security is truly integrated, like part of your daily operations.
Okay.
And the sources suggest GRC solutions do this with things like real-time dashboards. So you can actually monitor progress, monitor risk.
Oh, okay. Not just static reports. Exactly. It's not just about data, it's about actionable insights, which, are essential for that ongoing governance we mentioned, helps you spot potential issues before they blow up into major problems.
Right. And speaking of integration, CMT Level 2, it pulls in all 110 plus NIST SP 800 171 practices across 14 control families.
That's the foundation.
Yeah, for anyone maybe not familiar, NIST SP 800 171, that's the big U.S. government standard for protecting control unclassified information, CUI.
Correct.
And now it's baked right into CMMC Level 2. That is a lot to keep track of.
It is.
How do platforms like this simplify such a daunting task?
Well, the sources highlight that these GRC platforms, they streamline it. They map the controls directly to your policies, your procedures, your evidence.
Right.
They even link each control to the person responsible.
Accountability.
Yes. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, having things like preloaded subcontrols, implementation guidance, built-in scoring to track readiness, it means organizations aren't starting from a blank slate.
Right.
It becomes that single source of truth for compliance tracking that the source mentions.
Gotcha.
It really cuts down the initial lift and also the ongoing management burden significantly.
Okay, that makes sense. And that brings us straight to audits, doesn't it?
The C3 PAOs.
Right, the Certified Third-Party Assessment Organizations. These auditors who verify CMMC compliance, they need structured, time-stamped evidence. I can only imagine the scramble for that evidence without a system like this.
Oh, absolutely. Chaos.
So how do GRC platforms make that audit process less, chaotic?
Our sources point out that solutions like CyberComply are basically audit-ready by design.
Audit ready by design, I like that.
Yeah. They let you upload and tag everything, screenshots, logs, documents for each control. And crucially, they maintain version history, document integrity.
Ah, okay.
So think about the peace of mind for that compliance manager, Sarah, we mentioned earlier.
Right.
Knowing all the evidence is neatly organized, easily retrievable for the C3PAO, instead of frantically digging through shared drives and old emails last minute.
Yeah, that sounds much better. But that raises the question, what about gaps?
Inevitable.
Right. Falling short on a few practices must be pretty common. But you need to manage that, track it. What do these platforms do when you find a gap?
Good question. Our sources tell us that GRC platforms automate the creation of POA&Ms, plans of action and milestones.
POA&Ms, right.
These are basically your roadmap for fixing any security gaps you find, documenting what you'll fix, how you'll fix it, and by when.
Okay, structured remediation.
Exactly. And these systems let you assign the corrective actions, set due dates, all right there in the platform. And those dashboards we talked about, they also track the remediation progress, the readiness scores.
Ah, so it's visible.
Totally visible. You literally go from identifying a gap to demonstrating compliant in a structured, trackable, transparent way.
Okay, and another layer of complexity. Most DIB contractors use outsourced IT, right, or cloud providers.
Very common. Huge challenge.
Yeah, that shared responsibility puzzle. Who's accountable for what? How does a GRC platform tackle that?
Our sources highlight a feature like a built-in shared responsibility matrix, or SRM.
SRM, okay.
Yeah, within solutions like CyberComply. And this is critical because it clearly defines who is responsible for which control, you versus your vendor.
It draws the line.
Precisely. It tracks those inherited controls, say, from platforms like GCC High or AWS GovCloud, and it documents the evidence your service providers give you.
Okay, so proof from the third party.
Yes, which is key for proving compliance during assessments, and also for mitigating that third-party risk. It's all about knowing exactly where accountability lies, making sure no critical controls just fall through the cracks between you and your providers.
That makes so much sense. And when you automate so much of this, our sources say it leads to reduced risk and lower compliance costs.
And it's to reason, right?
Yeah, they know manual compliance often means missed deadlines, duplicated effort, incomplete documentation, which sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. And our sources illustrate that. GRC platforms automate control tracking, notifications, task management, evidence gathering, even policy updates.
Wow.
And that directly cuts labor costs. It reduces the need for maybe extensive consulting help. And most importantly, perhaps, it lowers the risk of failing an audit or, worse, having a security breach because something was missed.
Right.
It's really about operational efficiency, meeting these tough security requirements, letting teams focus on strategy, not just endless manual tracking.
So, okay, we've prepared using the platform. We've maybe passed the audit. But our sources bring up a really crucial point. CMMC is a 3-year certification, but compliance is continuous. It doesn't stop.
Never stops.
How do GRC platforms help ensure you keep that certification, maintain compliance day to day?
Well, they help you monitor control effectiveness over time, stay on top of recurring reviews, track changes in your environment, conduct annual self-assessments, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's a living system.
Exactly. Our sources emphasize that it's about maintaining that posture. You don't just earn the certification and relax for 3 years. You keep it by making compliance an ongoing, embedded process, not just a destination you arrive at every 3 years for the audit.
Okay, wow. That was a real deep dive then into how CMMC compliance, which we agree is inherently complex for DIB contractors,
Very complex.
is aimed to be made manageable by these dedicated GRC solutions. We've definitely seen how systems like this can structure governance and provide tools to simplify what could otherwise be just an overwhelming burden.
Yeah, and just to summarize the sort of overarching benefits that our sources really highlighted, these GRC solutions like CyberComply, they provide the tools you need to prepare for, pass, and then maintain that CMMC Level 2 certification.
Prepare, pass, maintain.
Okay, they offer that critical visibility you need to manage both your internal responsibilities and those you share with vendors.
Right, that shared responsibility piece.
And through automation, they significantly reduce cost, time, and the inherent risks that come with managing compliance manually.
Okay, and that connects directly to you, the listener. If your organization handles controlled unclassified information, CUI, or if you want to remain eligible for DoD contracts, then understanding solutions like this, well, it isn't just helpful, it feels absolutely vital.
It really is, for your operational future and for national security, as you said at the start.
Yeah.
And while that certification is, yes, a 3-year cycle, Our sources really stress that compliance itself is a continuous journey, which I think raises an important question for you listening. How does embracing a system that supports sustained compliance, not just getting ready for the audit, but sustained compliance, how does that fundamentally change the security posture and the long-term viability for DIB contractors?
That's a great question. Something to really think about as you navigate these critical requirements. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and stay secure.